Hi everyone! Are you in the process of finding or choosing your niche? Then stick around, because today we're going to learn 10 questions to ask yourself to help think of some great niche ideas. Welcome back everyone, I'm Alan and I help coaches and freelancers to get clients and grow their online business. Now, if you're having trouble finding your niche, then trust me, I couldn't relate more. In fact, I probably relate too much because it took me months, maybe even years, to finally come down and niche down. But anyway, one thing to keep in mind about brainstorming and finding ideas and choosing your niche is to brainstorm and actually write things down with pen and paper. So just keep that in mind as we go through some of the questions that we're going to discuss today, is to actually have pen and paper in hand to write down your ideas. Now, the first question to ask yourself to help find your niche is, what are you interested in or passionate about? Now, there are actually many reasons for and against following your passion, which I'm actually going to make some videos on this topic right after this one, so maybe I'll pop some up here and here. But in any case, literally just brainstorm yourself. What are you interested in? What are you passionate about? What do you watch shows about, YouTube videos about? What do you read books on, or magazine articles, or anything like that? Just what catches your eye? Sometimes it benefits to have other people tell you. I know this has happened to me when other people have told me, wow, you're really interested in XYZ. And I'm like, am I? Yeah, I guess I do talk about that a lot and watch a lot of TV shows about that. So anyway, there are a million sources to keep this in mind, but just brainstorm and look around ideas of what kind of books do you buy? What kind of videos do you watch? About what interests you? What are you passionate about? What can you talk somebody's ear off for a half hour or more? And remember to write this all down. The second question to ask yourself is kind of a two-parter, which is, one, who do you already know? And two, what communities are you already a part of? So of course, the first half of this question, who do you already know, is just to keep in mind, this is actually a multi-pronged question as well. So the first part is, who do you get along with? Who are some of your best friends? What do you have in common? And just pretty much anything like that can help kickstart ideas for what you're interested in and some connections that you might have. Now, the other part of this who do you know question is, who do you actually have access to? Like, if you have access to people in a certain community or a certain group of people or anything like that, is if you're best friends with the CEO of Coca-Cola or something like that. I'm not saying use people, but at least it's good to take inventory of what connections you have, because actually that's a whole nother video I'm going to make about the power of weak ties, but just keep those things in mind about who you know. And like I said, the second half of this question is, what communities are you already a part of? Now, this can be pretty much anything. If you are in any Facebook groups, or if you go to any meetup events. I know right now with COVID, that's a little bit of an issue, but you can belong to any groups. Like I said, Facebook groups, online forums, Reddit groups, or whatever those are called, local sports teams, groups of friends, coworkers. Well, obviously you would know much more about this than I would, but just keep in mind, what communities are you already a part of, and do you have access to? So if you want to promote something, now I know people hate sales, but if you absolutely had to, if somebody was holding a gun to your head, what audiences do you already have access to? Now, the next few questions are similar, but a little bit different. So the first one to take a look at here, or the third question that we are looking at so far, is, which problems can you solve? So I'm sure that you have skills and talents or experiences or whatever. So which problems can you actually help solve? Do you know how to fix doors, or how to increase sales, or how to create products? Any problems that anybody might have, which ones can you help them to solve? Now remember, we are just brainstorming here, so don't limit yourself like, oh, that might not be useful. Oh, that might not have an audience, whatever. Just write it all down. That is exactly why I suggested the pen and paper suggestion earlier. The fourth question to ask to help find your niche is, who can I help? Or who can you help? Now, Now, of course, this is kind of similar to the last question. So who can you help? People in which position? People who are training for a marathon, people who are looking to build their first product, to get clients, to work with email marketing, to build a website, to tie their shoes, whatever that audience is, just keep in mind, who can you help? The next question to ask yourself is, who do you want to help? So this is a little bit more important than the last question of who you can help, is whether you can or not, who do you want to help? Do you want to help people who already have a big business and want to scale it? Do you want to help people who are starting at zero to get their first client or customer or sale? Do you want to help people who are in college or millennials or seniors or whatever it is? This is much less about who you can help. This is about who you actually want to help. Do you want to help people who are broke or rich or male or female or whatever? Now, discrimination is totally allowed in this step because, sorry, but this is just about you and your preferences. So just keep that in mind and write this all down about who you actually want to help. The next question to ask yourself, now that we've narrowed down who you can help and who you want to help, is what are their biggest problems? So in both of those groups that we just talked about, who you can help and who you want to help, what are their actual problems? So as you go through their Facebook groups, as you know them in real life or whatever, what are their actual questions, their actual problems? Now there you can go into a lot more detail about how to do keyword research, audience research, and more, which I will make other videos about, but just keep in mind that it is extremely important to find out what their problems are, what their questions are, aka things that they are willing to pay money to solve and find out. The next question to ask yourself is, what can you do that most other people can't? Now, I know this is similar to the problem-solving question that we asked earlier, but remember, all of these questions are just to jog your memory and your creative muscle to help think up ideas to write down. Now, of course, it's pretty simple here. It's just, what can you do that your neighbor or your sister or your mom or whoever probably can't? Now, this could be building websites, running a mile, tying your shoes in an interesting way, doing makeup, fixing electronics, building computers, pretty much anything like that. And remember, we are not limiting or filtering our ideas in any way. So just consider all of those ideas. Is what problems can you solve? I know we already talked about that, but just what can you do that other people can't? Write it all down. The next question to ask yourself to help find your niche is, what have you experienced that other people haven't, or that most people haven't? So this is similar to the last question, but this isn't exactly a problem you can solve so much as something that you have experienced or gone through. Now, keep in mind, this can be positive or negative. Maybe your dog died or your parents died. I don't mean to be so negative, but you can go on the positive end of this. Maybe you've ran a marathon or you've built $1 million business. Now, pretty much any experience or accomplishment or anything that's happened in your entire past that probably has not happened to other people, that is something for you to consider as your niche and to write down, of course, because whether it's positive or negative, it's something you can help people to reach or to get through, or pretty much anything like that. The next question you should ask yourself is, what is the one thing you can teach people that would help them to improve their lives? Now, I think I got this quote or this idea from Brendan Burchard's book, The Millionaire Messenger, if I'm not mistaken. I would have to double check. But in any case, the point stands that just ask yourself that question, that if you were, let's get grim here, that if you were going to die tomorrow, let's say, if you could teach people one thing that would help improve their life, their relationship, their business, their whatever, what would it be? It's kind of like that popular, corny, rhetorical question that you've probably heard a bunch of times, which is that if you could give the world one speech, what would it be about? This is kind of the same idea. So what would it actually be? Imagine this is real life. You were going to die in 3 hours, and if you had access to the entire world, to all 7 billion people on Earth, or however many people we have now, and if you could give them one speech to help them improve whatever that may be, what would you talk about? Write all of those ideas down. The next question to ask yourself is, what will be a thing in about 5 years? Now, you can go a million directions with this, but this is actually a great question to ask because most people are just naturally stuck in either the present or in the past. But very few people actually think about the future and where we are going. So consider it. Which trends are growing? Which things have potential exponential growth? What things do you think might be big? Is it drones, self-driving cars, artificial intelligence? I don't know, whatever you think is going to be big next. Now, whether you're right or wrong, remember that we are just brainstorming here. So just ask yourself that question. What will probably be a thing in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, maybe more if you want to get creative, but just write it all down. And the number one thing that you can do to help find your niche is to hit the like button and subscribe below. If you learned something interesting today, it does help a lot. For more help finding your niche, then look below because I have a free 5-step guide to help find your perfect niche, and I also have a workbook to help get you through those ideas as well. Well, that wraps us up for today. Thanks everyone for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one.